Welcome to the Masterbooks podcast, where we bring you conversations that will strengthen your biblical worldview and the faith of your family. I'm Jennifer White, publicist at Masterbooks, a division of New Leaf Publishing Group. As host of this show, I'll be opening the doors to the Masterbooks family library of books, authors, and curriculum. For over 45 years, our company has been about one thing: ink on paper to touch eternity. In a world increasingly at war with God, we are publishing to partner with you to disciple your family, the church, and the nations. Well, hello and welcome to the Masterbooks podcast. Today, I have a really exciting show for you. We are pulling back the curtain and introducing you to the legacy behind Masterbooks. I have the Dudley family with me today. We are introducing you to 3 generations of the family behind the Masterbooks mission, behind the Masterbooks success. And so it is my pleasure to introduce you to Tim Dudley, to his mom, Harriet Dudley, and to his son, Josh Dudley. I have had the honor of working with them for over a decade, and it is a pleasure to see this family's legacy at work as they work together and just to see what they've accomplished. So thank you all for joining me today.
Thank you for having us, Jennifer.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm just glad to get to see all of you. And I haven't seen Miss Harriet in person in so long. So what a joy. So today you will be encouraged to hear about the influence of one mother's prayers on the leadership of Masterbooks. I can't wait for you to hear that story. It warms my heart. You'll also hear Tim talk about how the Lord's moved in this company, just how he has been led by the Lord to make the decisions he's made and to see what has been accomplished at Masterbooks. And Josh is going to share with us also what he does behind the scenes at the company. So get ready for a great show. So Tim, take a minute and introduce your sweet mom to us and tell us a little bit about the story about how her prayers have influenced you.
So this is my mother, Harriet. What year were you born, Mom?
6/14/29.
So she was born in 1929 during the Depression, and you just recently had what birthday?
93.
So she turned 93 last week, and she comes in here and keeps us all in line. But about 30 years ago in April, so in 1992, my father passed away suddenly of a heart attack in his sleep. And that previous year had been a big transition period in my life. I had hurt my back and had to have back surgery. And so I was kind of working by the sweat of my brow, farming and roofing and just doing odds and ends. And so that all kind of came to an end. And I respected what my dad did here at the press, but this wasn't my cup of tea. I wanted to be outside working with my hands. And through this back surgery, I kind of got forced back into working at the press, kind of trying to figure out what to do with my life a little bit. And then my dad suddenly dies. And so, through his death and the prayers of a mother, this passion that my dad had for the printed page his whole life, had kind of left him the year before and it entered into my life, and I didn't really even know it. And I still have, I was going to grab the envelope and forgot, but I still have these little scraps of paper that my mom would type up little verses and give to me just a few months after my dad's death and me taking on this burden. And she just constantly encouraged me. And if you read a little bit about us on the website, I say my secret weapon, my secret to success is the prayers of a mother. And this lady here is a saint, and she prays for her children and grandchildren. And it's just been an incredible blessing and just an encouragement as I took on kind of taking over the family legacy, which was pretty stressful, a lot of responsibility. I didn't know if I was capable, and that's been 30 years ago, and she's still here at my side.
It's just precious. Miss Harriet, I want to thank you for being a praying woman, because you're a praying woman. I've had the most fulfilling job here at Masterbooks. And I want to thank you on behalf of everyone who's listening, because your prayers have influenced how they are getting to teach their children and the impact their children will have on generations.
That's right.
And the culture.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So, Tim, I also want you to tell us a little bit about the mission of Masterbooks, when it started, how it started, and the impact that our mission, Ink on Paper to Touch Eternity, has had nationally and internationally.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, about 30 years ago, I took over the press after the death of my father, which was in 1992. And 4 years later, just this opportunity came up to buy Masterbooks. And, out of all the businessmen that the Lord could have chose in this country, somehow that phone call came to me, and it was a little bit of a process. But we bought Masterbooks in February of 1996. And what's kind of fascinating is my dad started New Leaf Press in 1975, and Henry Morris and Tim LaHaye started Masterbooks in 1975.
Wow.
So they're both the exact same age. We're in our 47th year. So if the Lord tarries, in 3 more years will be our 50th anniversary. And Henry Morris and Tim LaHaye, they wanted to start this company to offset this humanistic secular society that started to creep in, to the education system, into the church, into our culture in general, and do that with a Genesis 1 through 11 creation foundational based material. And so that's what Masterbooks was all about. And, it's just been life changing when Masterbooks, that opportunity came for us to buy that. I was just still a kid. I was 34 years old, 35 years old, didn't really know what I was doing still, but just that opportunity came. And Henry Moore, technically I kind of bought it from Henry Morris and ICR. There was different shareholders and whatnot, and to develop a real intimate relationship with Henry Morris the last 6-7 years of his life was an incredible blessing. And, I promised him I would carry on the mission and what their focus was. And he was very pleased that Masterbooks would carry on. And then maybe 6 months after I bought Masterbooks, I met this guy named Ken Ham. Never heard of him, didn't know who he was, never heard of Answers in Genesis. And of course, that's been life-changing. I've had the privilege of being on this board maybe for 15 years or so now. And we all know what an impact Answers in Genesis has had on the culture, and the impact through the museum and the Ark Encounter. And it's just so exciting to see what God's doing there and allowing us to play some small role in all of that.
I love that. So just Ken Ham's books alone that we have published have reached like how many?
Yeah, they were probably approaching 4 million copies.
Wow.
We kind of have this little ad we do in the catalogs every couple of years, and have this big stack of books that's probably around 25 or 30 books now, and they're approaching 4 million in sales. Yeah.
Right. And so we also sell internationally, which just blows my mind.
Yeah. So, we sell to Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa. And then, because of the digital, which is Josh's world, but we can sell homeschool product around the world, and they just do digital downloads, and we don't have to get into all that complicated shipping and expense and stuff. So it's really pretty neat to see the different places where we sell those digitals around the world. It's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. Well, it just blows my mind how we're talking about at least 2 generations of people who have experienced the power of the printed page because of New Leaf Press and Masterbooks.
Yeah, my dad's whole life, from a very young man, he started in his probably mid-30s. He went to work at Moody Bible Institute and was VP of publishing there for 6 years. Co-founded a company called Creation House, which still is going today, and then sold his interest in that and started New Leaf. So, his whole world was, he wanted someone to read words on a piece of paper and have it change their lives and draw them closer to the Lord and even receive the Lord as their Savior through the reading of testimony or a journey of someone else. And he spent his whole life pursuing that. And as I said earlier, I really respected that, honored that. I got to meet some really amazing people over the years, and it was a great childhood growing up in the family that I did and what my dad did for a living.
That's so great. Miss Harriet, you must be so excited when we get the reports of children who are working through the homeschool curriculum and give their lives to the Lord because of it, to see your husband's legacy.
It is wonderful.
It is. I know it must warm your heart. Well, I want to take just the tiniest little break and give a shout out to one of our listeners. Jen has been listening to our podcast. She says it's very encouraging to her. And she said that they are new to Masterbooks, but she feels like this is her family's fit and that it's been such a blessing. So thank you, Jen, for encouraging us. And we hope we are encouraging you. We want to give a shout out to anybody who leaves us a review. And we would love to hear your thoughts about the Masterbooks podcast and how the curriculum or any of the books that defend our faith are impacting your lives. So now we want to get to Josh. Josh, tell us a little bit about your role at Masterbooks and what you love to do here.
Yeah, so I've been coming in and out of these offices and the warehouses as long as I can remember. And, I can remember growing up with my brother riding the bus out here after school, and, Dad would put us to work. We'd be sweeping the floors or taking out the trash. And then that slowly grew into, when in high school, we would work out here after school, part-time. And so I think officially I've been back here now about 10 years.
Okay.
So I do the digital publishing here, and that's kind of the main role. I'd like to say I'm, jack of all trades, because, I can go work in the warehouse if they need help down there. I help with marketing and email blasts and updating and maintaining the website. Help with printing, getting stuff ordered from the printers, and so do a little bit of everything around here.
When he came back from college and he said he wanted to, come back to work, I said, well, here's your crummy little salary I'm going to give you. But this digital publishing, I'm too old to figure that out. You figure it all out, and I'll give you a little piece of that action. And he did. He's done real well. He consults every now and then for some other people and companies and does some on the side. So he's an expert at digital publishing, which is, 15, 20% of our business. So it's
That's
very
brilliant. I love it, Josh. And I would like for all of you to know that Josh is the man behind the flash sale emails that you get every week. That's probably your best connection to Josh besides the digital books.
Yeah, that's always a challenge, to try to pick 8 books every week that, try not to overdo it, and always have a fresh book out there for you guys to take advantage of the sale. So.
Yeah. So a lot of the books that are on your shelf that you got through the flash sale, that is courtesy of Josh.
There you go.
So Miss Harriet, you are still working at New Leaf at Masterbooks. Tell us about your roles. What have you enjoyed doing there?
Well, I work just until noon. I work half days. And I work in the warehouse, and so I see him once in a while there. And what I do is when bookstores send their books back, I look through the box. If they're good, we put them on the shelf, and if they're damaged, we put them somewhere else. And so I do that, and then I come up to the other office and do some filing. And so they find things that I can do. But my most favorite thing about working is this. First of all, I see my son and daughter every day. What mother can say that?
I know. That's wonderful.
I see 3 grandchildren work there. I see 3 grandchildren every day. Now I can't talk to them, but I can look at them. I love to work. I hope I can work as long as I live.
You are such an inspiration to me, and I am sure to everybody listening and watching today, to know that in your 90s, you can still be contributing to such a powerful organization. And even just as a prayer warrior, I'm assuming you're still praying for the Master Books mission and the team.
Thank you.
Here's a funny story on Mom. So 2 or 3 years ago, she fell on the steps of her house and kind of fractured her wrist just a little bit. And so we took her to the ER and they x-rayed it and whatnot. And so the doctor comes in and he's putting this, this big Velcro brace on her arm, and it's kind of wrapping around her fingers a little bit. And she's like, I can't work in the warehouse and wear this. And the doctor looks at me like, what kind of slave camp are you running? I'm like, well, if she doesn't work, we don't feed her. But she was like, literally wasn't going to wear it. I think she wore it about a week, and they wanted her to wear it for 6 weeks. So she's a pretty devoted employee, and she wants to work. I really do think it's a blessing. You have to have a reason to kind of get up in the morning, and she loves to come in and help us out. And she's just been a big blessing. And yeah, I love seeing her every day. You bet.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing about your tenure, and you're still working so hard there. I appreciate it. So Tim, Miss Harriet mentioned about all the other family members that are not with us today on the podcast. Tell us about the extension of your family legacy there at Master Books.
So my sister Lydia is 10 years younger than me, and she is our CFO. She actually went to college, has an accounting degree. She's pretty, hopefully she doesn't see this, but she's pretty smart. And so she handles the money, the accounting, all that kind of stuff. And she does a great job. And then Aubrey is my niece, my older sister. It's her daughter. And Aubrey, I tell people, Aubrey basically runs the company. Aubrey's head of customer service, office manager, and she has her hand in everything, knows every customer. She's great on the phone with customers and the moms. And so she's fantastic. And then my nephew, Matthew, we call him Matty. He's the warehouse manager, and there's a dozen or so guys down there that work with him, and
he's my boss.
Your grandson's your boss. That's
and then we've got Josh, and of course I've got some grandchildren coming up, and so it wouldn't be surprising to see some grandchildren working here before too long. So
sweet.
My oldest is 10. And I told her this weekend, I said, hey, in another year or two, you can start working in the warehouse. And she was all excited. I'm sure that will fade as that's about. But
I can remember when she was about to be born. I can't believe she's 10.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, Tim, which book of the Master Books catalog do you wish that you had when you were raising your children?
Well, there's two. Raising Godly Children in an Ungodly World by Ken Ham. It's just an absolutely excellent book on, training up your child and the way they should go, and foundational biblical teachings. And it's just excellent. Ken raised 5 kids. They homeschooled all their kids. They're all in ministry. And so I really respect Ken and his wife and his family and how they raise their kids. And the other one would be by Israel Rain, Raising Them Up, which is more of a practical guide. And they've got like a dozen of them or something. So I think he kind of knows what he's doing. We're around Israel a lot at different homeschool shows, and the kids are just very studious, very well behaved. And those would be 2 books that, I wish I would have read when I was young. You bet.
Yeah.
Highly recommend them.
Absolutely. Those are 2 of our best. And Will They Stand? Isn't that one kind of based off of Raising Godly Children?
Yeah, but it's really big. It's a big, long book. So, I don't like to read real long books, because you had mentioned somewhere, Tim, you've read every book. No, Grappling with the Flood, Genesis Flood Chronology. I don't think Josh and I have read that one. It's like 1,000 pages. So
Okay.
we just take Dr. Snelling's word for some of that.
I sit corrected on that. Okay, Josh, tell us about the highlight of all the years you've been around New Leaf Publishing Group and Master Books. What has been the highlight experience for you?
Yeah, so one I can remember is I think back right around the time I graduated high school was when they were opening up the Creation Museum up there in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to go with Dad, and we got to get like kind of a VIP tour throughout the whole museum. And I think Ken Ham was the one that kind of walked us around and showed us everything. So that kind of made us feel like we were important people. These guys from Arkansas coming up there and getting special treatment. So that was really cool. And then also the same thing kind of happened with the Ark Encounter. Me and my wife got to go up and go to the ribbon cutting of that ceremony and got to kind of take a tour through that. So that was really neat.
I love that. Miss Harriet, do you have a favorite book off of the Master Books shelf?
Well, I don't have one off of the Master Books shelf, but I want to say this about our books. I thought I would say I could never homeschool. I mean, I'm just not smart enough for that. But you know what? One of the mothers wrote to us one day. She said, I just learn with my children. And I thought, maybe I could have been a homeschool teacher. I thought, wow, what a wonderful thing for them to say. And I know our books are excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, my book, the New Leaf Press book is My Husband Wrote with Mel Tari.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderful book about what happened, how God revival in Indonesia. And so that would be my favorite New Leaf Press book.
That's an inspiring book. Tim, tell us a little bit about that book and how long it's been around.
Yeah, that was published in 1971 when Dad was at Creation House. And, they just had an incredible revival in Indonesia on the island of Timor. And tens of thousands of people came to know the Lord. And there was a lot of miracles and a lot of incredible kind of Old Testament miracles that took place and New Testament, I guess. I mean, I remember there's a water that turned into wine ceremony in that book somewhere. But the book is still in print. It was published in 1971. So it's, over 50 years old. And, it's just a real neat part of Dad's legacy.
Absolutely. So if you, the listener, are praying for revival and want to have your faith encouraged, that would be a great book to pick up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for all of your dedication to the mission, Ink on Paper to Touch Eternity, for the way that your diligence, dedication, devotion to God has impacted me and everybody listening, our customers over the years. I appreciate you joining the show. It's been fun. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about one person in the family who's kind of popular. We didn't talk about Becky Dudley and her authoring books. So I don't want to miss Becky. Tell us a little bit about Becky.
Well, Becky's my precious wife, and she has written the When You See series. So when you see a rainbow, when you see a star, and when you see a cloud. And she's really great at prose and the rhymes and poems, and the artwork on them are fabulous. So we highly recommend that. And she's working on a big project right now. She's been working on it for a year. Tentatively going to be titled One Big Story, but it's got about 130 Bible stories in it, all with a bunch of original art that Bill Looney's done.
Wow.
That's going to come out in the spring, and that's going to be really special as well.
Awesome. I love those.
My little girl, she enjoys the When You See books. I got
What's
a little
that?
girl, so I said my little girl enjoys the When You See books. So.
I bet she does. We need some pictures of her reading those.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining the show today. It's been fun to introduce you to the Dudleys, and I want to leave you with this quick and simple, powerful prayer. May the Lord, our God, cause the generations of your family to have your faith rooted and grounded in His love and touch the generations around you. And with that, we say amen and goodbye.
Amen.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey, thanks for joining the Master Books podcast. This was fun, and we are really glad you were with us. We invite you to check out masterbooks.com. We have a big library of books that will feed the faith of your family. And hey, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss an episode. We'll see you next time.